Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence with all the shootings and everything that's been going on here in the United States. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, the only thing we can really do is pray for these people, and hopefully this type of actions is going to stop and so forth. Thank you. Roll call.
Spitali. Here. Dinesh.
Here.
Kalwinski.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Higgs. Emerson.
Here.
Warple.
Here.
Rakos.
Here.
Markovich.
Here, let the record show 8 present, 1 absent. Reading of the minutes.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
move for motion to accept the minutes from July 22nd, 2019 be placed on file, please.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson, that the minutes be placed on file. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Spitali.
Yes.
Dinesh.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos. Mark.
Yes.
Yes, let the records show 8 in favor, 1 absent. Approval of claims, Councilman Rakos.
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the claims starting July 29th, 19, and ending claims dated August 7th, 2019. Claims 4130 through claim 4472 inclusive. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Rakos, second by
Second.
Council, oh, I'm sorry, who made the second? Councilman Warple. If the claims be approved as written, is there any discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Warple.
the claims totaled the amount of $6,725,651.47.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Rakos.
I'd like to make a motion we amend in claims 4473 and 4474, the amount of $50 each.
Motion by Councilman Rakos to include, what claim numbers, please?
4473 and 4474,
4474, and what were they for?
$50 each to the Douglas Point Apartment School Supplies.
Any other discussion?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Venez. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Voting on the amendments as presented for claims 4473 and 4474. Clerk Golick.
Spitali.
Yes.
Dinesh.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Markovich.
Yes, as amended, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Now, the claims as amended. City Clerk Golick.
Spitali.
Yes.
Dinesh.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Markovich.
Yes, claims as amended, approved, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Public hearings, we have none. Communications? Communications,
Mr. President,
Councilman Rakos.
we have the, on Thursday, August 15th at 3:30, the new Hessville Park Skate Park will have a ribbon cutting and ceremony. It'll be at 3:30 at Hessville Park.
Any other communications? Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications is closed. Committee reports.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Venez.
Yes, as I do at every meeting, I'd like to read the upcoming Community and Crime Watch meetings. On Wednesday, August 14th, Community Watch at Mount Zion Pleasant View Plaza. That begins at 2 p.m. Tuesday, August 20th, East Hammond Pullman Crime Watch, and that will begin at 6:30 p.m. at the Ophelia Steen Center. Harrison Park Crime Watch is Tuesday, August 13th, at the VFW at Holman Avenue, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Hessville Crime Watch is Thursday, August 15th, 7 p.m. at the Gene Shepherd Center. South Hammond Crime Watch will meet Thursday, August 15th, 7 p.m. at the Hammond Housing Authority building. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone who participated in National Night Out last Tuesday. Once again, it was a huge success. Our police department is always very supportive, and our firefighters are supportive as well. The community came out in force, and a good time was had by all. So that's why community is not just about me, it's about us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other committee reports? Any other committee reports? Committee reports is closed. Ordinances for third and final passage? We have none. Introduction of ordinances, we have none. Resolutions, we have none. New and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Councilman Warple.
I'm going to make a motion that our meetings that are regularly scheduled on October 14th and October 28th be rescheduled to October 7th and October 21st. The reason for the recommendation is to allow the appropriate time for the budget, but also because of Columbus Day falling on the 14th.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Rakos to change the meetings as requested. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other new and unfinished business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Venez.
I would like to announce that on Saturday, October 5th, we will be having our budget hearings at 9 a.m. Here in the council chambers, just as a point of information. Also, I make a motion that we have an executive session on Monday, August 19th, 5:30 p.m., to discuss personnel and legal in the caucus room. Thank you.
That's October what?
August 19th, next Monday, 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Venez, second by Councilman Rakos to have an executive session on August 19th at 5:30. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other new and unfinished business?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Torres.
just want to, we all got notified about the city of Hammond suing the Visitors Bureau for that sue of not them accepting our appointee. So I just want to thank the mayor for pursuing this so hastily. And I believe that we did appoint Mr. Garcia in time. Also, he's not really a new appointee. He's been serving for 7 years, so it's just a matter of reappointing him. And nothing in the law, to my understanding, requires us to inform the Bureau or anybody else. If the Bureau or Mr. Bastistados, all they had to do, if they were so concerned about it, all they had to do was call the consul or the clerk's office to justify it. So not only is Mr. Bastistado demeaning Mr. Garcia, which is a very highly respectable businessman in our city, but he's also just snubbing the council as if our appointment doesn't mean anything. So, thank you, Mayor, and I'm glad we're going to pursue this. And coming shortly, I understand.
Mr. President,
Mayor McDermott?
I thank you, Councilman Torres. I appreciate it. And you're right. The Hammond City Council acted with a week to go before the deadline. Okay, there's a case out of St. John that's somewhat similar. It's a Indiana Supreme Court case out of St. John where the whole issue came, it was sort of a similar type of situation where the council acted and the notification wasn't received by the appointing body in time, and the Supreme Court in that case came out and clearly said it doesn't matter what happened after the act. Once the council acted, it doesn't matter if you sent a first-class letter, it doesn't matter if you sent an email, it doesn't matter if you did smoke signals. Once you acted, which you did on June 24th, nothing else matters. Maybe it's common courtesy to send a letter, maybe it's common courtesy to give a phone call, just like it's common courtesy for him to call you and say, hey, what happened? And you're right, Councilman Torres, it was a reappointment. Raimundo served on that board for a long time and should have been given this opportunity. So right now, we have a hearing before Judge Sheedy. I gave you a copy of the in your packet, and that hearing date's already been continued. Ice Miller is a law firm that's representing South Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they asked if they could delay it for a couple weeks. And it's common courtesy to allow, I mean, they just got the entire complaint handed to them, so our attorneys agreed. This is going to take place, and I'm not an attorney litigating the case. As you know, I'm licensed to practice law, so I'm monitoring it. I think your council attorney, Bob Berger, is doing a great job. He's working with Kevin Smith. He's working with a constitutional lawyer from Indianapolis, and I feel really good about this case. It's a two-part case. The first part is a preliminary injunction, which asks that Raimundo Garcia immediately be appointed as a representative of the Hammond City Council. I feel really good about your chances on that. I really do. I think I could, in my opinion, and I'm not an attorney in the case, I think you're going to get your appointment at the end of the day. That's the first issue. The second issue is this statute that Spiros uses like a weapon to beat up appointing bodies to put his own people on the board is what I think is unconstitutional. And I've conferred with Attorney Berger, I've conferred with Kevin Smith, we've conferred with Brian Babb, who's our attorney on the case, and he recently overturned a state law on rental registrations in the city of Hammond, finding it was unconstitutional. It was special legislation, and we won. So obviously we wanted the same attorney that helped us overturn one statute for this one. That's a more difficult battle. That'll probably take a while, maybe months before that's finally heard. But the most important part is getting your appointee appointed, just like you wanted. It was confirmed 9-0 with a week to go before the deadline passed. You guys did everything you were supposed to. Maybe we should have sent a letter, okay? But we didn't, but it doesn't matter, according to the St. John case out of the Indiana Supreme Court. So I want to thank the council for supporting the administration. I think we're working really well, and I think you're going to get the result you're looking for. I'm here to answer any questions as far as I know.
Mayor, I believe the Convention Bureau meets on the third Thursday. They have a meeting August 15th, and usually they don't really say where it's at or anything. Do you know? Or?
They usually have them at the place in Hammond.
Well, they usually have the convention bureaus, but they've been known to go to, last month's meeting was in Cedar Lake, so they go to different places.
Well, I
don't know if
that.
they really notified the press or anything, when their meetings are. I mean, maybe you already know when it is this Thursday. I mean, Luann.
Well, I know that there's a special meeting. There's a lot going on. This lawsuit has caught fire. There's a lot going on in the Convention and Visitors Bureau right now, and I don't think the board is very happy with the CEO, and there's a lot of turmoil on their side. We are in the right. You guys made an appointment. You represent 81,000 people, and he refused to recognize that appointee. What are you going to do? I mean, we either get bullied and accept what he's doing, or we fight, and that's what we're doing. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the city, because I think when a body that represents 81,000 people speaks, I think Spiros has got to listen. Nobody votes for Spiros. You're all elected. Nobody votes for him. I don't know if you have any more questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Torres?
I also like to research the matter into just checking if he can use whatever attorneys he can, or our council attorney, see if there's a way to withdraw him from this Convention and Visitors Bureau. For one thing, I think the city of Hammond does an excellent job of doing its own promotions. You, as the mayor, are constantly promoting our city through the events in Civic Center, the Lake Fest, and so forth. I think we can use whatever money we contribute to our hotels and restaurants, innkeepers, for our own personal use, and we can do a lot better job than what this bureau has been doing for us. Quite frankly, I just don't see anybody or any shop selling Visit Hammond or Hammond, Indiana t-shirts or novelties or anything. I just don't see what they do for us. We can do a better job by creating our own bureau, if it's at all possible, creating our own budget and doing our own promoting.
Mr. President, echoing off of the councilman, what he's saying, if Hammond went off and formed its own Convention and Visitors Bureau, I could tell you right off the bat, we'd save $250,000 because we were looking at salaries, obviously, and they're pretty preposterously high salaries. If you saw, I was going to post the whole thing, and I decided just to post the CEO salary, but my goodness. If you looked at the salaries in the South Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau, most of them are in the upper 80s, 90s, and then all of the Friends of Spiro, they're over 6 figures each. Spiro's salary is $230,000 a year. He gets bonus, luxury SUV, 401k, all that stuff. I tell you, I've been in government a long time. I have yet, the only people I see making that kind of money are basketball coaches. You know, Tom Crean makes more than that, right? You know, the head basketball coach for the Purdue Boilermakers makes more than that. And they're public employees. They're government employees just like us, and they make millions. But all us regular people that work for the government, you never see a salary above $200. He makes $230 plus. So I tell you, that's a huge waste of money in my opinion. I think it's time to call it for what it is and get control, and it starts with us, putting the person that you chose on that board and making them think a little bit and just instead of just throwing money away. $230,000 for the CEO of that organization, you could do it for $100,000 less. A governor of our state makes $95,000 a year, and the head of the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau makes $230,000. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. It's wasteful. If we could withdraw and form our own councilman, I'd be on board.
I mean, they all these hotels, motel tax, they pay it. We have at least 8 or 9 hotels ourselves, so if like what Councilman Torres says, we had our own, I mean, that money would just stay right here then.
We got 2 under construction too, Councilman. I mean, we have hotels in Hammond. We would do pretty well. We do pretty well contributing towards the heads and beds theory that they operate under. We have a lot of hotels that pay a lot of money in this tax. It's tax money. This is a government agency we're talking about. I tell you, the head of the RDA is a great guy, friend of mine. He makes $75,000-$80,000 less than Spiro's. The head of the RDA, the one that's doing the South Shore expansion, the one that's doing all this, he makes $75,000-$80,000 less than Spiro's does. This is Lake County. I'd love Lake County to be like Disneyland. I'd love to have a huge tourist population here. For somebody from Lake County to make that kind of money in tourism, wow. I was completely amazed at how high that salary was. But it makes sense. When you got a board that you basically appoint yourself, that board gives you good pay raises, I guess. But I appreciate the support. I promise we'll fight hard to get your appointee on there. I have a real good feeling that you'll see Raimundo on the board. I have a real good feeling. Now, the special legislation is a much harder ordeal. So, any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is closed. Public expression, and for people that are new here, we have a sign-in sheet, and if you wish to address the council. First one is Michael Newell.
Thank you, sir.
You want to come forward, give your name and address and topic?
Yes. My name is Michael Newell. I reside and own a house at 252 Fernwood Street. I've been in contact with Mr. Emerson, so we've traded a couple emails, so I apologize in advance if any of this is redundant, sir. I'm here to represent the residents of our street. I have a petition here requesting structural updates for our street. Over the past 23 years that we resided there, we've seen many of the streets in our neighborhood get upgraded, be widened, and have ornamental lighting put in and things like that. Our street is currently 24 feet wide, whereas many of the other streets are much wider. 169th Street's 29 feet wide, Humphreys is 30 feet wide. And the problem is that because we're only 24 feet wide, it makes it very difficult to navigate the street without damaging other cars. You figure your average pickup truck is 7 feet wide, your average minivan is 7.4 feet wide, average sedan is 6.4 feet wide. If you have one car on each side of the street, it's almost impossible to traverse that street because that only leaves 10 feet of space, which means that you have basically a foot to a foot and a half on each side of your car. It makes it very difficult to be able to pull into driveways, you know, because of the restrictions. Also, UPS trucks will not go down our street because there's not enough clearance. Snowplows very seldom get to go down our street because the residents have to park on both sides of the street. So we feel we're sort of underserved because of this. Also then, in the past, the police have come through and they've given tickets to residents who park their cars partially on the causeway, you know, trying to give a little more clearance to cars going down the street. And, you know, we don't feel it's fair that that happens because, you know, we live on the street and we want to be able to park by our houses. Now, in addition to the widening, we're also asking for lighting to be improved. We did have one break-in on our street this year, and we've had others in the past. We feel that improved lighting would help increase the security, especially since we get a lot of traffic coming down that street because of Fast Lane Foods, which is the convenience store at the end of our street. And then also the sidewalks. You know, if you guys are going to, you know, consider improving our street, we would like the sidewalks to be improved also, or repaired. They are in severe disrepair, and we've had one complaint by a resident who hurt themselves, and I think they filed a complaint with the city about it, you know, tripping and falling on the sidewalks. You know, we understand that money's tight, but we just want to make sure we get on the list and receive consideration to have, you know, some consideration given to our residents.
Would you say your address was 252?
252 Fernwood.
Fernwood?
Fernwood Street, yeah. We're a small one-block street. We're between Lyman and Holman Avenue on the southwest side of the city. We're 1 block north of 169th Street. We're in the Silk Stockings neighborhood. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
George Stoya?
Yeah.
George Stoyer, Robertsdale. I want to commend this council for filing suit against Spiro, excuse me. However, I am concerned about the cost. I mean, I know we got some issues. I know, you know, that there's a matter of principle at stake also. But as I understand it, these are not going to be questions or issues of fact, but mostly or predominantly issues of law. Consequently, as I see it anyway, and I could be wrong, there's not much discovery, there is not much, and there might be some back and forth motion writing, but these are not fact-intensive issues that to be decided. And from my view, is the statute as it's currently written, whether it's special legislation or not, to me that's a secondary issue. The issue is whether we complied with any notification thing. And I would hope that this council scrutinize where the emphasis is going to be, because as the mayor pointed out just a couple of minutes ago, it's going to be a far more complex issue, perhaps legally, analytically, whatever, with respect to the special issue of special legislation. And to me, that's not primary here, but that's just my opinion. And but again, these are not fact-intensive situations. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I respond to what George just said? Because I agree. Do you mind?
Go ahead.
I agree with George. I think the most important issue is getting removed on there. Okay? That's step number one. That's your appointee. You have every right to put him there. You appointed him in time. That's step number one. And I agree also that I think got to be the easier step of the two. I promise you I'll watch the bills on the special legislation. I promise you. Because I think it's an important issue whenever we have a law that's passed that applies unevenly. You're supposed to pass laws in Indiana that apply generally across the state. You know, like if DUI was 0.08 across the state, but it was 0.07 in Lake County, that would be special legislation. They treat us different than the rest of the state. That's what this is about. And I don't like it personally, and maybe I'm a little too wrapped up when it comes to stuff like this. I just don't like getting treated differently in Lake County than they do in Porter County, which is totally different statute. In Porter County, if you guys missed the deadline, it would have just gone unfilled until you filled it. But in Lake County, if you missed the deadline, Spiro's guy gets to appoint a new person. Completely different than yours. So I agree with what George said. Step one, I think, is the easier step, is getting your appointee appointed. Step two, I promise you I'll watch the bills on that one. I promise. So thank you for pointing that out, George.
That concludes public expression. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Councilman Benet, second by Councilman Torres. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.